Hey everybody, this is Space Marine Steve, and I am from Play on Tabletop and here at Hyperspace Hobbies, and I'm here to talk about the combo that absolutely crushed Tacoma. All right, so I just got back from the Warhammer Tacoma US Open, and I had a blast. There was so many great players there, beautiful armies, fantastic terrain layouts. It was a phenomenal weekend, and I learned more about 10th edition than I have in pretty much all of my practice games. When you go and you play in a tournament that's this long, it was 8 rounds, I was tired at the end of this. I was very tired. But when you play in a tournament that's 8 rounds, that many consecutive games, playing at a reasonably high level too, like we're talking about, it's a competitive game, right? Like everyone who's there, for the most part, wants to win. And so this is a very good place to kind of test your mettle and learn a lot. And I think going into Tacoma, that's where my mindset was at, is I want to learn more about 10th edition, right? And for those of you that maybe think to yourself like, oh, but Steve, you're a part of Play on Tabletop, you play games there. And while yes, that's true, right? The thing is when you're playing this many consecutive games, and you're able to learn from one game, implement it in the next game, and continue and roll that through. Regardless of what you think of tournaments, right? If you view yourself as more a narrative player or a casual player, sometimes you just, you want to pick up some dice and toss them with your friend in your basement over a couple of cold drinks. Like, beautiful. Like, there's all kinds of Warhammer players, and you can play this game in any setting, and it's awesome. With that being said, though, I will say, as someone who I would say is like casual competitive, right? Like, I really love my narrative games. I really love my pickup games. But, I really like going to tournaments sometimes too. Something that I love about tournaments is the experience and the opportunity that you have to learn. I have never learned more about the game ever than being at a tournament and playing so many consecutive games, right? And you walk away and your brain is almost on overload because you have so much going on and there's so many wheels turning from different tactics that you've seen or strategies that you've observed or things that have happened to you or that you did to an opponent that you didn't expect. And all those things shed new light on how you play your list and how you play your models, how you kind of even just view the game in a new light. And I know that did happen for me in Tacoma. I brought an Ultramarines list, which was so much fun. I had like Calgar, some Blade Guard, a bunch of aggressors, a repulsor. It was so much fun to play. And there was one unit, and I'm going to talk about how the combos I used with this unit and how other people in Tacoma used very similar combinations to hold what I would call like a strategic advantage over the rest of the people at that tournament. All right, so in my list, I had a huge squad of Outrider bikes with one attached ATV, and in particular, the thing that really made it work is that I had a Space Marine captain on a bike. And the Space Marine captain on a bike has an ability for 0 CP, hear that, 0 CP, for 0 CP to use any stratagem and doesn't cost him anything and it targets his unit. And he can do this even if the strat has already been used in this phase, right? And that has a bunch of different implications. And what that means is that at times you're able to double strat people. And that is something that really no one expects because until right now, that's never been allowed, right? And so just speaking from a Space Marine standpoint, right, like I was able to use things like Honor the Chapter twice over. Honor the Chapter gives a unit that's charged Lance, and if it's the Assault Doctrine, an extra AP on all their weapons. Well, if everyone's in the Assault Doctrine, and I charge in with 2 units, so let's say Calgar and his Blade Guard go in one way and the Outriders go in another way, then what takes place is I go, all right, I honor the chapter on Calgar because you have to do it first, right? The ability has, even though it's already used this phase, so you have to pay for it first, and then you can use it for free. So you go honor the chapter one way, and then 0 CP, honor the chapter the other way, right? And so I couldn't do it the other way around, so I couldn't go 0 CP honor the chapter. Now I've already used it, right? There's my 1 CP, there's my once. I couldn't then pay for it. It has to go the other way around. But This combination, being able to 1-2 punch the same strat into somebody, gives you so much efficacy. It's insane. And it even allows you to double Overwatch, right? So even though Overwatch says, you can only use this once per turn, the captain's ability overrides that, right? So as long as you're using it in the same phase, that is a very specific thing that the captain's ability and many other of the abilities say, is that you've got to use it within the same phase. So what that means is that I could Overwatch with 1 unit, having paid the 1 CP for it, and then 0 CP, captain double Overwatch, boom, in we go. And this ability to kind of use 2 strats at the same time, and one of them even being for free, is incredible. And this combination is, we even see choices being made way up at the top tables. So in the top tables, we had Adeptus Custodes versus Adeptus Custodes. That was the very finals of the tournament. So we had those 2 armies facing off against one another. And the cool thing about the differences in their list is that the list that won actually had 2 shield captains in it, along with Trajan. And the 2 shield captains, each of them actually have that ability. Right? So in their big bricks of custodian guard that they were creating, they put, one of each of these characters, and those custodian captains are able to do the same thing. And so you're able to free strat, double strat, and even in that instance, triple strat, right? And so using those 0 CP options to leverage the power of your list is a big deal, a really big deal, right? And so this was the combination that crushed Tacoma. So here's what I want you to do, okay? I want you to look through your index and see if you have any of those abilities. If you've got a Space Marine Captain, right? If you have got a Custodian Guard, there's even one in Knights, I believe, that Canis Rex gets to do that, right? So some armies don't have the capability to do this, and that is honestly too bad. Everybody should have been given maybe one, but for those of us that do have it, it is a fantastic combination, and you can do it really in any way. But I'm going to talk very quickly about something that I did that caught a player off guard. So here's what I did. So I had a Calgar's unit, and we were in the Tactical Doctrine. So I had Calgar's unit, and he was kind of out in the open, right? And then I also had my Biker Captain unit, and he was off to the side. And what happened is, my opponent jumped out of a piece of ruins, ran forward to try and get an angle onto Calgar with all of his guns. And what took place is he ran out of the ruins. And then what happened then is I used a 1 CP to Squad Tactics, which is a Space Marine stratagem to move 6 inches if it's the Tactical Doctrine, which I did. And then I 0 CP'd to move the Biker unit also. And what took place is, because both of those movements took place at once, he then had no targets. So I fell back behind a piece of ruins with Calgar's unit. And then I also then fell back again with the Biker squad out of line of sight behind a piece of ruins. And I was able, in one very swift I was able to, in one very swift movement, stop my opponent's ability to shoot my valuable units at all. And this was devastating and a huge swing turn for the game that I was playing. And so look for moments like this where a double strat is incredible and devastating. And so this was it. This was the magic that came out of Tacoma, is understanding the depth in which these rules reach. So go through your codex, see what kind of combinations you can come up with, post them down in the comments below, please. And let's have a talk about what the best kind of uses of these stratagems are. If it's just a double Overwatch, great. But if you got something just a little bit more spicy, throw that in the comments below, and let's have a conversation about it. All right, from all of us here at Hyperspace Hobbies, happy combo making. Have a great week, and game on. Bye.